My daughter thought she married the perfect man, but she was wrong. Mom, stop worrying. Ayan is the best thing that ever happened to me. The smile on my daughter Hira's face was impossible to ignore. She looked happier than I had ever seen her. But something about Ayan bothered me. I couldn't explain it. He was polite, successful, charming. Everyone loved him. Yet every time he smiled, I felt uncomfortable. Still, Hira was deeply in love. And when your child believes they found happiness, you try not to stand in the way. So they got married. The wedding was beautiful. The photos looked perfect. The guests called them a match made in heaven. For the first few months, everything seemed fine. Hira called every day. She laughed. She sounded happy. She talked about their future. Then the calls started becoming shorter. The messages became less frequent. And one night, everything changed. At exactly 2:13 a.m., my phone rang. It was Hira. The moment I answered, I heard nothing but crying. Mom. Her voice was shaking. Please come get me. My heart stopped. I jumped out of bed and rushed to her house. But when I arrived, something strange happened. Ayan opened the door with a smile. A calm, confident smile. Hira is sleeping, he said. She had a stressful day. I knew he was lying, because I could hear someone quietly crying upstairs, and I knew that cry better than anyone. It was my daughter. What I discovered the next morning was even worse than I imagined. I brought Hira home. The second we walked through the door, she broke down. For nearly an hour, she couldn't speak. She just cried. Finally, she looked at me and said something I will never forget. Mom, I made the biggest mistake of my life. According to Hira, everything changed just weeks after the wedding. At first, Ayan's behavior seemed harmless. He wanted to know where she was, who she was talking to, who was texting her, what she was doing. He called it love. He called it protection. But it wasn't. It was control. Slowly, he isolated her from everyone. Friends disappeared. Family visits became rare. Even simple phone calls turned into arguments. If she spoke to someone for too long, he got angry. If she wanted to go somewhere alone, he got suspicious. If she questioned him, he accused her of being ungrateful. But the worst part was still coming. One afternoon, while Ayan was at work, Hira accidentally discovered a hidden folder on his laptop. At first, she thought it was work-related. It wasn't. Inside were hundreds of screenshots, photos, conversations, and detailed notes. Not about business, not about clients, about women. Dozens of women. Some were former girlfriends, some were coworkers, some were complete strangers. Ayan had been secretly talking to multiple women throughout their marriage, and it got worse, much worse, because one particular file revealed a secret he had hidden from everyone. Buried inside the folder was a scanned marriage certificate, a marriage certificate that didn't belong to Hira. At first, she thought it had to be fake, but it wasn't. Years before meeting Hira, Ayan had secretly married another woman, and according to the documents, he had never legally ended that marriage. Hira felt sick, terrified, confused. When Ayan came home that night, she confronted him. At first, he denied everything. Then he got angry. Then he blamed her for snooping. Finally, he admitted the truth. Yes, he said, I was married before. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was what he said next. I never told you because I knew you wouldn't marry me. Hira couldn't believe what she was hearing. The man she trusted most had built their entire relationship on lies. She packed a bag and tried to leave, but Ayan blocked the door. For the first time, she saw the real person behind the smile. Cold, manipulative, and completely different from the man she thought she knew. That night, she locked herself in a room and waited until he fell asleep. Then she called me, the call that changed everything. The next few weeks became a nightmare. Lawyers, arguments, threats, endless stress. But eventually, the truth came out. Not only had Ayan lied about his previous marriage, but several other women stepped forward with similar stories. Different names, different faces, the same pattern, the same manipulation, the same lies. Everything finally made sense. The charming personality, the perfect image, the endless compliments. It had all been a mask. A very convincing mask. And the scariest part, almost nobody saw through it. Not friends, not coworkers, not relatives. Nobody, except the people he hurt. Today, Hira is rebuilding her life. It hasn't been easy. Some wounds take years to heal, but she is stronger now, wiser, more careful, and finally free. Sometimes people ask me if I regret letting her marry him. The answer is yes, every single day. But I've also learned something important. The most dangerous people aren't always the loudest. They aren't always the angriest. Sometimes they're the ones everyone loves, the ones who always say the right thing, the ones who seem absolutely perfect, and that is exactly why nobody sees them coming. Until it's too late.